Hello, God bless. So at the moment, I'm reading Aesop Fables. Have you all ever read this? It's really good. So it's in the children's section. Aesop was actually a man who lived like 500, 600 BC. He was a slave for a while, then he was a free man. And he lived in a time where freedom of speech was not, you weren't really allowed to practice it. It's like what we're getting more and more nowadays, where if you talk and if you're not lining up with the narrative, that's a no-no and you're going to get in trouble. So they used fables a lot in order to say what they wanted to say without overtly saying it. So anywho, so I want to pair some of wisdom from yesteryear with what's being jammed down our throats at the moment. So I'm going to start with the bundle of sticks. And they're great. They're like usually like a page long, 1 or 2 pages long with an application in case you didn't get the lesson. I really like it. It's good stuff and it's short and to the point, so even better. The bundle of sticks, page 122 in this version of it. Once there was a wise farmer whose quarrelsome family drove him almost to distraction. He strove in vain to reconcile his bickering sons with words of good counsel. Then one day he called his sons to his room. Before him lay a bundle of sticks which he had tied together in a form of a faggot, which means a bundle of sticks, not a cigarette butt or a confused man. Each one of his sons, in turn, was commanded by the farmer to take up the faggot and break it into 2. They all tried, but tried in vain. Then, untying the bundle, the father gave them the sticks to break one by one. This, of course, they did with the greatest of ease. Then the father said, "My sons, by this example, you all can see that as long as you remain united, you are a match for all your enemies. But once you quarrel and become separated, then you are destroyed." Application: in union there is strength. In union there's strength. So true. But what are we being taught today or shoved down our throat every other second? Diversity is our strength. Just deny facts and we'll get stronger by the hour, man. Just totally a lie. So yeah, unity is strength. All the way from back in the day. Okay, was it this one? Sure. Let's do the next one, the eagle and the crow. An eagle swooped down from a high rock and pounced on a lamb gazing near her mother in the field. With a great beating of the powerful wings, he seized the lamb and flew away to his nest. A crow sat in the oak tree, watching the eagle's exploit. Said he to himself, "Surely that is an easy way to find oneself a dinner." So spying a sturdy old ram below him, he bore down with all his force he could muster, intending to carry the ram off as a prize. He fastened his claws into the wool and then tugged with all his might, but nothing happened. As a matter of fact, the ram wouldn't have known he was there if it had not been for the crow's frantic efforts to disentangle his claws from the wool. The crow's squawking attracted the attention of the shepherd, who came up and caught him and clipped his wings and took him home to the children for a pet. Application: it requires more than wings to be an eagle. You know what also? It also requires more than a cut-off dick or makeup or grown-out hair to be a woman. It's really alarming how men are being trained overtly and covertly to be attracted to other men. Have you ever looked up men modeling as females? There is a massive push to divide the genders and to have men only be attracted to men. It's, when you start getting into it, it's crazy, but yeah. Requires more than wings to be an eagle. Yep, it does. So, and pretending to be something you're not is just not healthy for anyone. And to go on with the lies and to what is it, New York City, you can be fined if you do not conform to another person's lies. It's just crazy. So here's the wolf and the lamb. As a wolf was lapping at the head of the running brook, he spied a lamb paddling his feet some distance down the stream. There's my supper, thought the wolf, but I'll have to find some excuse for attacking such a harmless creature. So he shouted down to the lamb, "How dare you? Stir up the water I'm drinking and make it muddy." "But you must be mistaken," bleeped the lamb. "How can I be spoiling your water since it runs from you to me and not from me to you?" "Don't argue," snapped the wolf. "I know you. You were the one who were saying those ugly things about me behind my back a year ago." "Oh, sir," replied the lamb, trembling, "a year ago I was not even born." "Well," snarled the wolf, "it is not. If it was not you, then it was your father, and that amounts to the same thing. Besides, I'm not going to have you argue me out of my supper." Without another word, he fell upon the helpless lamb and tore her to pieces. Application: any excuse will serve a tyrant. Man, if that's not true. No matter what you say or do, it's just unbelievable how people nowadays will look the other way for so many people, and yet if you have a group of people that you don't agree with, then anything they do, they liken to the other group. It's just beyond crazy. I mean, I was just watching a thing today where these people were actually comparing that supposed Christian group who goes and harasses veterans at their funeral, saying that, you know, God hates gays, which, I mean, he's a God of order and nature, and it's not natural to hook up with your own gender. That somehow they were likening that as worse than Muslims who throw gays off the top of buildings and openly kill them left and right. Somehow a tiny handful of people with pickets is likened to be worse than people around the world who actually kill. Still at a loss with that one. That, hey, war can make strange bedfellows, and we definitely have that with the left and in Islam. So the thief and his mother. A schoolboy stole a horn book from one of his fellows and brought it home to his mother. Instead of chastening him, she said, "That was very clever of you, my son." As the boy grew older, he began to steal things of greater value, until at length, being caught in the very act, he was arrested, tried, found guilty, and sentenced to be hanged. The day of his execution arrived, and he was taken from his cell and led to the gallows. In the crowd that followed the cart, the thief saw his mother weeping and beating her breast. He begged the officers to be allowed to speak one word to his sorrowing mother's ear. When she came near and inclined her head to hear his last word, he suddenly bared his teeth and bit her savagely on the lobe of her ear. All the bystanders were horrified and pushed forward with threatening gestures towards the thief. They could not understand such inhumane conduct of a son towards his mother. Then he cried out, "You think me a brute, and I am, but I have this woman to thank for that fact. I shall soon be swinging on the gallows. She is my mother, but when I was small and did mischief, instead of punishing me, she encouraged me to my ruin. Behold, an unnatural son, because when I was small, I had an unnatural mother." Application: spare the rod and spoil the child. So true, man. We are encouraging. Have you seen how they're encouraging boys and girls to deny their gender? They actually have camps now, and they give the kids "I am gay" or "I am lesbian" shirts and actually encourage them to deny their very essence. And I've heard mothers of like, "Well, who am I to tell my children they can't swear, they can't do that?" It's like, you know what? As long as they're minors, you do have a responsibility to say this is right and this is wrong. And, you know, once you turn 18, you can do whatever you want, but this is my household. And to just offer kids no boundaries and no explanations for anything, it's really, Lord have mercy, look around. This is not cool times. And it's not cool times because parents are so uninvolved and disconnected from their very own. There's such division among all of us. It's unnatural. So I think I have two more. This is another one. They're all so fitting for today, and how what we're being told is the right way just contradicts what has been taught throughout the millennials. So the swallow's advice. A farmer was sowing his field with hemp seeds, while a swallow and some other birds sat on the fence watching him. "Beware of that man," said the swallow solemnly. "Why should we be afraid of him?" said the other birds. "That farmer is sowing hemp seeds," replied the swallow. "It is important that you pick up every seed that he drops. You will live to regret it if you do not." But of course, the silly birds paid no attention to the swallow's advice. So with the coming of the spring rains, the hemp grew up. And one day the hemp was made into a cord, and of the cord nets were made. And many of the birds that had despised the swallow's advice were caught in the nets made of the very hemp that was grown from the seeds they had failed to pick up. Application. Unless the seed of evil is destroyed, it will grow up and destroy us. Things have gotten so out of whack in this nation. It's frightful. We have been so tolerant, and I'm just stunned. Oh my gosh. Somehow back like what, 60s and 70s, you had, what was it? Those guys who pushed women to like just have no purity. The guy in the wheelchair, and then the Hugh Hefner guy. How it was a freedom of speech to strip women of clothes. That was a freedom of speech, but now Alex Jones disagrees with, the narrative, and he's being shut down left and right. We're sowing our own destruction. Time is short, people. So, let's see. The last one, the eagle and the arrow. One day, a bowman saw an eagle soaring lazily in the sky. Quickly, he noticed an arrow and sent it whizzing after the bird. It found its mark, and the eagle felt itself wounded to death. As it slowly fluttered down to earth, it saw that the half of the arrow, which had pierced his breast, was fitted with one of his own feathers. Application. How often do we supply our enemies with the means of our own destruction? Man, if that's not the case now, we are under such attack on so many sides, and yet so many people just want to give the government even more control. It's just frightful. So, anywho. So, I hope all of you go. This is a great read. It's a simple read. It's really needed in this time where lies are being shoved down our face and being held up as truth. You really need to get something else in your head. So, I find this really helpful. And when you read like greats over the past, this is a common book that people do read. It's really actually interesting to see how many people, known people throughout the ages have read this. A lot of good stuff. So I hope you're having a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.